Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Second Act Actors. I'm your host, Dr. Janet McMorty, and I'm still a medical doctor simultaneously trying to pursue a career in acting. My guest this week is Connie Wang. Oh my gosh, she's one of the funniest people I have ever met. She is a stand-up comedian. She's an actor. If you've watched, to be honest, any Hallmark movie in the last couple of years, you will recognize her. She's in a ton of them. Or I don't know if she's in a ton of them or she's just been in a lot of them that I've watched recently. As you all know, I live in Canada. Hallmark movies are our bread and butter, so I watch them a ton because I'm basically studying, right? I'm studying. Anyways, I don't know what it is about the last couple of months that every Hallmark movie I've watched, Connie's been on it, and I squeal because she's just absolutely wonderful. She and I had met a couple of times, here and there throughout the industry world here in Toronto. She I believe she's the writer and producer and starred in this incredible show called Tokens, all about having token BIPOC actors as part of your show, and it was all about a fictional casting agency for token actors. A previous guest on this podcast was in that show as well too, Dr. Indy Saluja. Anyways, amazing. So I met her originally at the Toronto Web Fest because Tokens was nominated. So was my little podcast. And we just kept in touch, I was seeing what she was doing in the industry and just absolutely inspired by her. And then just recently, I went to the premiere of her stand-up comedy special. The link will be in the show notes below for you to take a look at it. It is so funny. It made me cry. There was not a dry eye in the house of her screening of her stand-up comedy special, ladies and gentlemen. It was hilarious and so emotional and heartwarming. It's a true gift to her family and to how she was raised. Anyway, she's absolutely brilliant. I am rambling on about her greatness. I'm so inspired by her. Please enjoy the absolutely incredible Connie Wang. Tell me your story. How did you get into this crazy business that you do so much in?
Thank you. Okay, so I got into it. I actually went to theater school. I think I was always into this stuff. I actually, was raised in Windsor, so my mom was, I was saying, it's in my Canadian Famous show, and you were there, and it was great. It's basically like a biopic, but okay. But yeah, I grew up in just like a small university town. That was once the armpit of Canada, but now I call the Florida. It's the Florida of Canada. Okay.
Lord.
So, and I had big dreams to come to Toronto and become this big star. So then I did that in theater school. But it took me a really long time before I could see anything. Well, it felt like a really long time. But after I graduated theater school, it took 5 years of just seeing nothing and just wondering, should I quit? And always just working all these kinds of odd jobs, like nannying, serving. I was terrible. I was a terrible waitress. One time, I used a baby's head because the plate was too heavy, and I kind of placed it on its head because I was going to drop the food everywhere. It was so bad.
You were a server and fired. A nanny? At both of them, you were like, I'm gonna use my nanny skills and use this child. That's amazing.
I was better at nannying, but I was not good at serving. Now I've just done so many odd jobs that it feels like this all is a second act. Yeah.
Oh, man. Did you feel pressure growing up from anyone to not go to theater school, to do the more logical, quote, quote, career path?
Yeah, for sure. My parents were like, go be a doctor, be a teacher, be something that's predictable. But that didn't really last that long. And I've just got such an energy, it's undeniable almost. I go into a room and, I just light it up. I can't help it. So it's, they didn't really, like, the promise was, my mom was like, okay, if you're gonna go to theater school, just get a something other degree. So then I went ahead, I thought I was gonna get like a drama, like a double major in drama and psychology, but at U of T everything is science based. They don't have an arts based psych program, at least when I went. So it was really tough for my brain. I'm like, okay, I'm better with essay writing, but I don't have that option. It's like, you know, you go do that exam, it's worth 50% of your mark, and then you do another one, and that's it. I was like, ooh. So I have, long story long, I have a minor in psych. I still finished it, but yeah.
It's so interesting how, just hearing that story frustrates me so much, and I could wax poetic about, like, how the education system is so, like, striked against people who learn in different ways. And, like, the fact that, like, you couldn't do something that you loved, that were interested in, but there, in a way that, like, would showcase that you have the knowledge. They're like, no, you must be standardized, tested. And, like, that makes me irate.
Yes.
So frustrating.
I can get it. Yeah. It took a long time to reverse, like, that kind of conditioning. I think, like, theater school, it took a long time to, like, I think about the stress, and I was like, wow, it's still very much in me. So it took a long time to, like, break out of it, I think, of that kind of stress. Like, you go from, like, rehearsal straight into a psych exam. Some people were in, like, taking architecture. I'm like, how are you alive? Like, my classmates, I'm like, what are we all doing? Like, this is a stress test. It's like, let's spend the next 4 years being stressed. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think, you know, I look back at my university time and I'm like, could I do it now? Was it just because I was in my young 20-somethings and was full of energy? Like, could I do it now? I don't know. I think I could do it now with the interest. I'd be more interested in what I was learning. But I don't think I could do the stressors anymore.
And the
exactly
workload.
What you said. The workload. Yeah.
Because if I did it now, man, I have, like, you know, like, there's family. They got other priorities. So, I feel like that really is set for, like, a 20-year-old who has no time but to be a full-time student, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, for sure. It's funny. I had this argument with somebody, well, not argument, just like a fun debate yesterday about, do we go to university too young, right? Are we too young to appreciate the learning of it? Yeah, 100%. I think we are too young to appreciate the learning of it, but I agree with you. The social aspect of it, the responsibilities, the time when you can just go be an idiot and, like, at least for me, like, get drunk on a Wednesday night and get up at 7 a.m. for a 4-hour organic chemistry lab. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky.
Those were definitely meant for the 20-somethings.
Yeah.
It could have been a little later. I feel you if it's too young. I was 17 when I started because I have a late birthday.
Wow.
So I was still a minor, technically, on paper. I think that gap year or that year abroad is really great.
I think so too. It's something we don't push very much. And I think I know when I was in school, people who did that were kind of seen as lesser than, right? What do you mean you don't know what you want to do? Like, that's bizarre. Well, what's wrong with you? Why don't you just want to go to university? Did you not get in? Which is so stupid. Like, God, I wish I did a gap year. What a fabulous idea. Yeah. Tell me about theater school. I never went. It seems insane and lovely and all the weird things. Tell me about it. What was it like for you?
Theater school was, it was interesting in a sense of, like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and usually, like, at least when I went to school, it was all about, like, kind of breaking you down so they could build you back up kind of thing. And so it was it's a very vulnerable time as well. Like, we were all so young, flying in from all over the country and even the world to come to theater school. So, like, culturally, there was, it's just like a lot of, I think, just a lot of kids needing to grow up at the time, but also then you're developing yourself because you don't know who you are. And then the whole program is not hidden behind, like, textbooks or anything. It literally is on performance. It's a discovering of, like, humanity. What is a human while you're still discovering that who you are. So it was a time for me of, like, I felt lost most of the time. But I was doing the exercises, the scene work, the performances, voice movement. I was doing it all. And then I think I really, and then I went to a voice intense. So it was like, it was a 3-year program because first year's undeclared, and then second, third, and fourth year. And then I remember in between each year, I kind of did some sort of course. Usually they were filled with like psychology courses. That's how I got my minor in psych. So I went to school all year round. But then third year into fourth year, I actually went to Canada's National Voice Intensive out in BC for 5 to 6 weeks. I was in Vancouver. And I think being out there, just complete change of scenery. I'd never been out west before. And being with other artists from different parts of the country, it just helped me to get out of that bubble that I was in for so long with the same like 8 people, because it's a small performance program. Most programs are like that, I find. So that was really nice and refreshing to go and just train outside of the program. And then I came back fourth year and I felt like I grew a lot more in my individuality, so that when I took on fourth year and it's like that performance year, you have like a big show at the end of the year, like I feel like I really got it together. It helped me to be more stable. I also noticed that like when I was in second year university, because of the performance classes and stuff, I could not party. Like I would party and I'd have performance class like Friday morning, and I was not okay, like hungover. So it actually helped me to, and now I just don't drink because I'm like, well, it doesn't help me in my craft or my career, or like, why do I want to be feeling bad all the time? So that was an early on thing where I just kind of stopped drinking at age like 19, 20-ish, because I wanted to do well in school. Like I wanted to become a really good actress. I wanted to bring my best self forward. So there were certain things along the way, that habits that I just discovered for myself, and I've just kept to. So I say that it was like a time of great navigation and I was lost. But when I came out after fourth year, I felt like I really had the tools, I think, to start off like just within my body, to start off and go out and start doing the business side of things. We didn't get any of that, but at least I have had like, voice movement and performance classes for that time, and there was a lot of great value. And what I loved about this program specifically was like all the instructors we had were also professional like theater makers in the city as well. So they came and they worked, and like we had nothing. They're like, okay, now go make something. What are you gonna make? And I was like, oh, okay. So we started just like making things and doing like more devised theater is what we should call it. But I just remember there was like a big unit. Most of fourth year was like devised theater, where we make stuff up based on current events or anything that we felt an impulse, inspiration of something, and you just made stuff. And I think I resented that for a bit there, because I was like, I want to do Romeo and Juliet. I want to do Tennessee Williams. And we weren't getting that. And then like years later, being, independent, being understanding the way the business works and being an entrepreneur, I'm like, wow, I'm actually really grateful to have had like someone just ask like, what are you going to do? And then have to just do it and be like literally 100% responsible for my life, because that's life is like, no one's coming for you. So like, what are you going to do, kid? Like, what are you going to make? Like, what do you want to even? Like, that's the thing too, is like, this is what it takes. So do you actually want to do it? Like, this is what it is to be an artist. You're 100% responsible for generating yourself, your career, your life, beyond your career, your art. Like, do you want to do it? You have that choice too, right?
And it's funny, I had this conversation with someone who, again, went to theater school as well, too. And they said the biggest thing they resented was, I mean, besides the fact they don't learn about the business side of acting, which I think is a through point through everyone who's been through theater school. It's the same with medical school. I'm like, I didn't learn how to run my own business. But the idea that, in theater school, you're doing, the greats, right? Romeo and Juliet, Tennessee Williams, Chekhov, blah, blah. You can do anything and be cast as anyone. And that's what happens. And then you get out into the real world and you realize, oh my God, is the rest of my life this commercial cattle call where I'm auditioning as stressed out mom 40, showing my child like non-speaking silent on camera Walmart commercial? Is that what I did this intense work for? And this is all there is? And my friend who was a first act actor was like, I had so much resentment early on in my life because of my acting life, because of that, coming out of theater school and being like, I'm going to be brilliant in Stratford, and being like, nope, you're going to the non-union commercial cattle calls like everyone else. Did you feel that when you first started out after theater school?
For sure. I mean, I felt, and there's like, what's great about theater school and life, but like in theater school, it's like ego galore, right? It's like massive egos. And it's like, it's a great thing. Like, I'm thankful for my ego. It has to be big so that I can, because I know myself. It's my identity, right? So you have to go out and know yourself. And I remember knowing myself as a really great actress. I was like, I am, and I was studious too, right? So I was like, I've done everything. I put in the work. I'm here, and I'm the best. I'm the freaking best. Then I go out and start auditioning, and it's like, oh, wow. And I got really resentful of, like, all the, like, my white colleagues, like, my white peers at the time, who I thought, I'm like, you're not even, there's nothing even interesting about you that you bring.
Yeah.
And I'm, how come you're auditioning for that, and I'm, like, going for, like, student one or something? So that was, like, just culturally and just with diversity back then was it was much different than it is now. So that I think that's what it really was for me, was like I was so angry. I was like that angry I became that angry ethnic girl throughout university because I could see that I was just there wasn't a role for me. Like that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But what was great was that the instructors, too, were like, what are you going to make, though? What are you going to make? And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I had a bit of that. But coming out into the business and actually trying to make money, I definitely made a lot of money, like, doing commercial work. And I was taking whatever I could get. So that was something that helped me financially that I'm really grateful for. But it was never, I wasn't crazy about it. I was like, but I will because I love it and I love being on set, and there's like no other place. Like I find like the most magical place in the world is being on set, on a movie set, on a film set. I love it. So I was really upset about that for a real long time until when I turned about 24, I just had some sort of awakening. I call it my spiritual awakening, when like I woke up one day and I was like something needs to shift. And I just knew, and I just started taking the action like crazy. Like I wasn't overthinking anything. I was just doing the damn thing. Just like all of a sudden I turned 24 and I was like zooming. So what happened was I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. And in this YouTube channel, I'm gonna just start doing sketches. And I'm gonna play all the characters because whatever. I'm gonna be all the characters. This is where I can see myself. And I know that for me, I needed somewhere where I could just hear myself, or I could see myself back reflected. That's all I wanted at the time. And I secretly think that's what a lot of, anyways, this is my theory. This could just be me, but like seeing people who look like me or like other people with the same voice, it's just like hearing myself and being able to and that's what artists we do. I'm like, I just want to relate so I can hear myself and see myself and just be connected. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And I did that, and I grew my YouTube channel organically till about 1,400 followers. It took so much work and effort. I watched videos back. I'm like, this is crazy. It's like terrible. But with that, I learned how to edit. I learned camera angles, and I became like a whiz with social media. And like also, I got really good at sharing myself, which I think is a huge thing in being in this industry, like being an artist, is being able to share your work. Like that's actually what's going to get you more work, is sharing who you are and what you're committed to and what you want to create. Like, I get it. People call it networking. People call it, like, different things. And we all have stories and we make meetings about it. And then you become resistant to it. But for me, it's like, get sharing. Like, share. Share what you're here to contribute into the world. And so at that time, when I put myself in, like, this little, like, laboratory, the laboratory of YouTube, okay? And a lot of friends were doing it. Like, now Julie Nolke's just, like, taking off. At the time, like, I was like, yeah, I'll do it too. And I just remember learning how much I have to get over myself to just share a damn video and not make it mean anything about my identity, but like having the art separate from who I am. And I think that's a huge distinction and a huge learning curve that I've been able to like, I guess master, but I mean, I still go through it from day to day, but I've been able to create such distance. I love my social media now. I love sharing, my work. Like, I don't care. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll share. Like, I've got nothing about it. And I think that's been just so freeing, because it's freedom for me, freedom to be able to share without being like, oh, I shouldn't, or I'm going to be humble, or I shouldn't, but like, I'm a business and it's my business. So having that time in my mid-20s to do my own thing on YouTube was a lot of freedom to explore, freedom to grow as, and this skill now I'm going to take it for the rest of my life. And I feel like, wow, it's really like a whip, because I can walk into a room, I can share. Yeah, I have a stand-up special coming out like this. Like, I can share and just be proud of my work. Whether I feel like it's good or not, it's like, but it's still mine. And then it's like, is it good? And then you get into that conversation in your head. I'm like, it is good. Like, I am good enough. Like, what am I even doing? Even if it sucked, it's still me. Like, you know what I mean? That flip-flop of this crazy. It's like always, but being able to have that practice of sharing, because I have only me, has been a real gift.
I love so much of what you said. I think the way you described yourself at the beginning of our conversation about, you know, when you walk into a room, like, you light it up, like, you described yourself so perfectly. And like, everyone out there listen, like, there's no better way to describe you, Connie. Like, you are such a force. And I think a force of positivity in this industry, because like, you, even though I know not everyone is fearless, but you seem fearless with your art. And it's so great, because I think there is that fear. And I had somebody say to me, oh, I'm worried I post too much on social media. And I was like, are you insane? For the love of God, keep posting. I love seeing what you're doing. I love seeing people creating art. I love seeing you, Connie, what you're creating. I love that. And that's how I get to know people. That's how people get to know you. It's like, there's no such thing when you're putting your art into the world as showing too much. And if anyone says that you are, oh my God, they're garbage. Just don't even worry about it. Which I know is a difficult thing to kind of wrap our heads around, because there is like a humbleness that we, I think, especially as women in society, have been kind of told we need to do. Like, don't be expansive. Be, again, humble and meek and very appreciative, which, again, doesn't serve anyone. But my question for you is, have you noticed, since you've developed your YouTube channel, but also the qualities in your life that came from developing this YouTube channel and you as a person, did it translate into your acting career, like your auditions? You've been in Hallmark movies. Like, did you notice improvements and benefits?
From the YouTube time?
Yeah, just from like discovering that, like, you're like, yeah, I'm putting myself out there because I'm great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure. So I did YouTube at that time for about a year and a half, and then I decided to just put it on the back burner and focus on being a film and TV commercial actress. And really really having to create myself as a leading lady, because from everything that I learned in life, I realized, oh yeah, like I'm a leading actress because I say I am. So that's where it started. I was like, okay, I have to actually identify with that. So it was a lot of just mind stuff. I also went into like meditation for like a full year when I was like 24. So that's why I think when I came out, like there was a lot of I think beauty and just some connection to some wild intelligence is how I describe it as when I put myself in that, again, laboratory of a year. I just really got to know myself. And I think so then that, with knowing that, and then just like understanding that kind of like the law of the universe is like I create with my word, and there's nothing, but we create out of nothing. So if like right now I'm like not a leading lady, then I create that I am. And then once I say that with my word, then it's like, okay, then it's feeling like the next inspiration is like, okay, why don't I go to acting class and tell my teacher, like my instructor, I'm a leading lady. So then you start training me like that. And then the body, the physical, like that becomes more well trained as a leading lady, because of course, like I say I am, and then like you become it, right? It's like this manifestation process. That's really what I think I'm like really good at too, is like manifesting, and like understanding the process of manifestation. And yeah, so that's what I would say I got out of like this whole YouTube thing into jumping into being an actress. It's like creating with my word and moving from there with what I want to do next and what I want to do next and what I want to do next.
Do you have any advice for anyone who is trying to get into acting later on in life, or especially after another career, or kind of struggling in their time trying to become what you're doing, what you've done?
I think where I'm at right now is like, yes, I did go the traditional route, and I'm still within it, right? Like I'm still like, I'm still playing for, like, I got representation in Los Angeles. I have paperwork done. Like that was really great. And I'm still within that traditional route of still auditioning and stuff. But what is an actor and artist these days with social media and with the internet? It's almost like it's evened out the playing ground so that anyone can really do it. And for me, I'm discovering every day and living in the possibility of innovation, of like, okay, well, you want to be an actor? You have a phone, you have a camera, you got lights, you got people in your life. You can start writing. It's kind of really created access for everybody to be able to do it. And that's the beauty of living in this day and age. Like there's no excuse. And my favorite thing to always say is like, if Marilyn Monroe was looking down right now, she'd be so freaking pissed. Be like, God damn it. You know what I had to put myself through? Oh. You guys have all this and that, and still somehow, right, like the ego or whatever identity still pulls us, like victimhood still comes through, where we're like, no, I can't. I'm still not good enough. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. But we have everything at our fingertips, even in our rooms, to create a piece of art every day. So what I'm saying is you can do anything right now. And I'm really excited about that too, like for myself and my own business plans with what I'm building with social media and, really leveraging the internet. I think it's great.
Has there been anything that has surprised you about the entertainment industry, especially over the last, couple of years as you've switched more to social media and stand-up?
I think the older I get, I'm 32 now, and I've been doing this for so long. I think this is like my 14th year auditioning. And I remember just like being in January, just being like, am I really gonna keep doing this for the rest of my life? Like, always like being like, oh, I'm gonna make it one day. I'm gonna make it one day. And then like the older I get, I'm like, I'm getting married next year. I want to have a kid. I want to start having a family. And I realized, wow, like it's time to get, it's like priorities just change. Priorities just change, and doesn't mean that I'm ever going to stop auditioning. It now means, okay, I got to be an executive producer. And that's actually what really lights me up. I think that was like my transition this year was like, it's not that auditions don't bring me joy. It's just that I know there's more out there for me than constantly just auditioning for, other people's projects. I'm like, I can still do that. And what lights me up is like project management, doing like, setting up teams. I don't even need to be in the damn thing. Like, let's just do it. Like, and I think what also, so that's just like a mind shift, I think now that I'm in my 30s of like how things have shifted. And especially with the pandemic, really discovering like, what do I actually want? Do I want to be chasing my dreams, or do I want to see that I am the dream and just create it from here? Like it's not actually out there. It's actually all up here, what I imagine and what I create. So that's a completely different paradigm shift, to be honest. Like nothing's out there. No one's ever gonna, nothing's coming for me. Like again, it's like, yeah, of course I believe in God and I have faith and like I'm co-creating with the universe, but like I am like the one to generate my life, like this is my life. And so yeah, I think the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, okay, the more I realize it's not so much out there fluffy. It's like I feel very grounded right now, and I'm like, okay, what can I do right now to create something really great with what I have right now? Like I don't need to wish anymore or hope. I think that's maybe something I did when I was in my 20s. I hoped a lot and I wished a lot for things, and I worked hard to listen to other people. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like I delegate now. I get to say what goes. I don't need to wait for someone to tell me how much I get paid. Like I get to be like, no, this is actually my rate because I said so. So it's a complete shift within me, I think, now that I'm in like my third decade of life. Fourth? Third? Fourth? 0, 1. Okay.
Do you think that what is it just chronological time marching on and your brain developing, or is there, because there's clout, you have clout in this industry, is it a combo of both? What do you think is the reason behind that change in thought?
I think it's a combo of both, because I think when I was younger, I was really committed to getting experience. And I just wanted to be, told what to do, or, again, that's like being trained, being obedient. You could say it's being a woman. I say it's being Chinese or being Canadian. Like, we have it within us to be suppressed and obedient and people pleasers. And I think with time, too, and like through observation and just through my own happiness level, I'm really happy being unhinged and unleashed and really stirring the pot in my conversations with people and being authentic in my conversations. That I think it's ultimately the feeling of being free and being happy with who I am. That's truly where I feel unstoppable. And like that kind of unwavering confidence that people talk about. They're like, oh, you're so fearless or whatever. It's not that I don't have fears. I just love being free to be who I am and share that with the world. And I think that goes with time too, because it's like I've been through stuff where people are like, I don't like that, or I don't like you, or whatever. And it's like that takes time too to be with that, and then to learn how to manage that and not make it about me. Right? Like it's all like the work of growing. So I think that also has to do with it too. It's both. It's like, yeah, I was younger, more inexperienced, didn't really know who I was, or just becoming who I was. And now I'm still becoming, but it's like, no, I'm not, like, I got like footing on my ground. And I know I'm here to like say stuff, like transform this place. Like, let's have fun and be authentic.
I love that. I think that's just so powerful, right? It's powerful and it's exciting and it makes me so happy that that is the case for someone, and it means it's an example to set for others, right? When people see you, see and hear this, it's like, oh, it gives them the power to do it themselves, right? So I think I freaking love that. That's great. Do you have anything that you are looking forward to coming up this year?
Yes. So last year, I think they say billionaires are built. What's that quote? Billionaires are built when there's nothing, or something like that.
Huh.
Like billionaires come out of. Now I sound like an idiot.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm the one. I'm like, I don't know what
billionaires are born. Billionaires are born when there's like nothing, or like in like recession. I don't know.
Intelligent.
Yes, something like that. And it's true, when you take away everything, or it appears to be everything. So for me last year, it was a strike. You know, I was so excited. I just got to Los Angeles like in March or April of last year, and then everything was announced, and I was like, damn. I was like looking forward to so much. So it felt like that was taken. But ultimately, I think that what that was like all the distractions were taken from me. And then I can actually tell the story that I wanted to tell. And I'd always imagined myself doing a 1-hour stand-up show, and then being like, well, I don't have any stand-up experience. I've never done this before. And then I was like, well, fuck it. Like, let's do it. So it was like, I've only been doing stand-up for like a year, because I started around March of last year, and I would go like once a week. And then I kind of got like addicted. I think with creative stuff, you get addicted to a certain outlet. And I was like, oh wow, this feels so good. Like this sort of like, it's like this buildup of pressure before, and then you just go up and you say what you need to say, and you're like, well, that happened. So I just was kind of playing with stand-up and my point of view and how to deliver a joke, even, because I'm like, I full on is coming from like as an actress. Like, I don't know the writing, like you build a joke, and I'm like, who cares? I want to act. So I want to act out a scene. So, and then our friend Elaine, she reached out, and I'd gone to Content Farm, and then we decided, well, we're like, wow, we'd be really good creative partners. And then I hired her as like my dramaturg and director for Canadian Famous, and we made that thing in 6 weeks. I was selling tickets. I didn't even have a show yet. But I think that's just like how I flourish. Like, that's how I get stuff done, is like just say it, and then you gotta start taking the actions, and then it just trust that it'll all happen. But I'm telling you, it was probably one of the craziest laboratory things I've ever done. You know, like, if we talk laboratory, I'm like, that was absolutely nuts. I was at an open mic every single night, and then I was seeing Elaine every week for rehearsal, like once a week. It still like didn't feel like enough, but I was like, whatever. And then I was inviting all kinds of people, like Paul Lee, like someone was like, oh my god, the Star Wars guy is here. Like, it was just, you know, Kim's Convenience is here. All that. And I was just like inviting people in the industry. So of course, like, my ego was like, oh my god, if this sucks, like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be terrible. But I mean, the show sold out 4 days before. Like, people couldn't even get a ticket like day of, right? So with that being said, I just wanted to share more about my stand-up journey, because it's not like a traditional one. I just decided to do it, and I did it. And now I know myself as a stand-up comedian. Like, I know myself as one. And then also, like, but also seeing, because it all happened so fast last year in that art form, that I missed so much too, right? That's the thing about doing things fast, is like, I missed, like, I did it, and I'm proud of myself. And now, because what's coming up is my second stand-up show.
Yay!
Yes! But now it's like I have more time. And now it's like, actually, this art form, how do I make it mine? Because if you watch it and you've seen it, it's like I actually am. It is a one-woman show. Like, I come from the theater. Like, you can see it. Like, it's all physical comedy. I'm just holding a mic. But how can I make it more of what I want to do instead of, like, joke writing and joke telling? I'm like, how can I actually, like, kind of fuck with the form now of, like, is like stand-up as what it is? Like, well, you know, like, how can I make it more performative? Or just more me? So that's what I'm excited about this year too, is doing my second show now with more time to work it, and it's like the first show was like me kind of coming out, like, this is who I am, this is where I came from, and now it's like all about love, because that's really like what I really care about. And I'm getting married. It's just all very like in my world. Yeah. And listening to friends and their relationships, their breakups, their getting back togethers. Like, what is love? What's a relationship these days? So I'm really excited to be working on that, and looking forward to actually writing my own series. That's what I'm working on this year. I'm kind of scared. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. If anyone listening, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think anyone really knows what they're doing. I think what makes us different is like taking action.
Yes.
Taking action, not overthinking, and just do it. And don't sweat the small stuff. Just do it. You don't need to be liked either. Everyone already likes you. And if they don't, who cares? Move on to the next person, Like, okay.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
No, you don't need to be liked. Everyone already likes you. Yeah.
And the people who like you will continue to like you, and they're the ones that matter.
Because here's the thing, right? It's about like and love. It's like people will always love you, but you don't really need people to like you. Because liking's always a preference. It's too hard to cater to. Love, though. Love is different. Love is...
Yeah.
Love is like ever-presence. Love is what actually connects all of us. So no one could ever not love. And when we say we hate, well, we only hate because there was love there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, well, one, I was like, oh, that's a little preview, I'm assuming, of your next show.
I don't know. Maybe. I'll have my meeting with my director 2 days from now.
So funny.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting. I think that's so wonderful to remember. I think as actors, yes. But as individuals, 100%. Like the people who genuinely love you are there to support you and there to be, maybe a critical lens and a support, right? Like that's what love is. Like you were saying, liking is a preference. I think that's just a wonderful way to think about it. And it actually, I find, when you were saying that, I was like, that feels very freeing. It feels very freeing and takes pressure off. It really does. Because the people who love you are the ones that matter. And they will be there always.
Yep.
Regardless. Yeah. Do you have a favorite moment on set, on stage? Any funny stories?
One of my favorite moments on set was on The Boys.
Ooh,
I remember, because first of all, I just got written into season 2. Like, the agreement was like just season 1, and I just got written into season 2. So that was awesome. And then it was like the courthouse scene where a lot of people die. And I just remember it was so fun to film because there was all of us, like the main cast, and then there was like 200 or 300 background, and there was stunts with like all the blood. I just love a good like killing scene. It wasn't my first one, but it was definitely the biggest one I've been a part of. And I just loved it. We were all screaming, and we were just doing retake after retake, and there was just like, it was made out of corn. It was like corn syrup and chocolate in the guns, and they're just shooting it out at everyone. And we're all just screaming, and I'm like, this is the best. I get paid to just scream all day. And I loved that day so much. I
Oh.
love that day so much. I was on set till like 3 in the morning, and then I was on a flight out to Boston for a wedding the next day. It was just like, what? I had a blast. I always think of that, and I was like, this is why I do what I do, and this is why we must bring joy to the world always and do silly things like this, because it does matter. It does matter how you feel. Like when I feel great, the impact is that everyone feels great. Everyone I talk to feels great. But if I feel crappy and like bogged down with like whatever's happening in the news or whatever, I'm like, that brings everything down. So that made me realize too, like how, like in your career, do things that light you up, and just in life, because it does matter. Okay.
In your stand-up special, it's basically a love story to your parents, to be honest. And as an aside, there was not a dry eye in the house at the end of it. I think it was very unexpected, the ending of your special. I won't spoil it because then everyone can watch it, and I'll put a link to where we can find it. But how would your parents describe what you do for a living these days? Or your, like anyone in your family, your loved ones, how would they describe what you do?
So my parents, my mom and my dad is like, Connie is a famous superstar.
Yes, she is. Yes.
It's like without a question, they're it wasn't always like this. It took many years of like sharing and constantly sharing myself, what I was up to, and then like, you know, being done with proving myself, especially during the pandemic, because I think I made $5 that year. But thank God for CERB, but I made $5 that year, and it was like an Odd Squad residual or something.
Yeah.
So I had to like be with nothing again. It felt like be with nothing. And then I moved back home to Windsor to be with my parents. So I was back in my childhood home, and like just going through all the things of like all my wishes and my hopes when I was a kid, and then being with my parents, just being like, it's not happening. And then my mom's like, are you gonna quit? And I was like, I don't know, I might. And she's like, but you can't. You're so funny. So it's having many of those conversations throughout my life, with my mom and my sister and my dad, and just asking what they think or what they've thought about my life and my career and my choices, giving them the freedom to like say their opinion. And then like, you know, them like wanting me to quit and get a government job. I'm like, yeah, maybe not. And they're like, yeah, you're right. Maybe not. Like, and then eventually just, you know, getting like 2 Canadian Screen nominations. Like, right? It's great. It's like, that's what I've discovered for myself with awards. It's like they're nice little milestones to see like in my life. I'm like, yes, a nice reminder. So when I went to the awards last year, my mom came with me as my guest, and she was so excited. Yeah, I know. She was like, okay, I'm going. What do I wear? And she had like her dress, and she was like my camera woman the whole time. She's like, I know, right? Because you know her from the special. And she's like, yeah. It's just such a comedy all the time, but definitely rooted in so much love that makes you cry.
So much love.
I know, right? It's but that it makes you cry for sure. Yeah, but they're really proud.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they're really proud, and we've been through a lot together, like as a unit, I would say, like with my parents. They're a huge part of my career, and I wouldn't ever not share anything with them.
That's lovely. Do you have any final words of wisdom or advice?
For actors?
For anyone. No pressure.
That's true. Okay, I would say, well, just the whole podcast was full of a lot of fun.
It was filled with gems, Connie.
Yeah, and I was like,
oh my God.
I would say, believe in yourself. That's like the first step, is to believe in yourself, get clear on like what you actually desire. Do you want what you think you want. Because that can be can be kind of tricky too. Or what everyone else is doing, I want to do. But it might not be the case. So, and I only discover that for myself when I have like time to meditate or I have quiet time away from distractions. So I would definitely say like detox, like media detox, distraction detox, but for sure like technology detox so that you can actually be with your own self. And I'm very spiritual. I don't know if you got that from this podcast, like, but being in tune with your discovering your own spirituality, because everyone is spiritual. So creating a spiritual practice. And from there, I think you'll be guided a lot. That's where I get all my guidance from, is like with myself. Just hang out by myself, in the whenever you need, like mornings, a little time in the afternoon before bed. And yeah, you'll be guided by yourself to then, and then you'll always be supported by everybody else. But I think the most important is to get clear for yourself what you desire, and then believe in it. Believe in believe in the miraculous, okay? And the definition of miraculous means highly improbable, extraordinary, and welcoming good consequences. That's what living in the miraculous means.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Connie, for being my guest this week. I'm so happy we have met in this industry. I'm just so thrilled to know you. I'm thrilled to see what you're doing. I'm thrilled for just the way you have grown in this industry, which that sounds pretentious for me to say. That sounds very like paternalistic, like I'm so proud of you. But it's just so exciting to see someone who has really just worked hard and excelled and is doing the goddamn thing, everybody. I'm just thrilled for you, Connie. Thank you. And thank you for taking the time to share your story with me and with my guests. You are wonderful. I hope you will all tune in next week for another episode of Second Act Actors. Bye.